Yes, I believe you could see silver at 100. And I think silver prices are going to rise percentage-wise faster than gold.
Please join us for our next live stream Sunday, September the 6th at 9 p.m. Eastern. We'll go over current events, past guests, and of course, gold and silver news. Once again, our next live stream will be Sunday, September the 6th, 9 p.m. Eastern. See you then. Hello again, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Silver Bullion Television, SBTV. I'm your host, Patrick Vieira. Once again, if you are new to this channel or you have not already done so, please do subscribe, hit the bell to be notified on new updates, and give us a thumbs up if you like what we do. We really do appreciate your support. Thank you for it. Gerald Celente is our guest today. Gerald is the founder of the Trends Research Institute. He has been forecasting trends since 1980, and Gerald's motto is Think for Yourself. He observes and analyzes the current events forming future trends for what they are, not for the way he wants them to be. And Gerald is the publisher of the internationally distributed quarterly Trends Journal. It's time to saddle up and silver up for Gerald Celente. Gerald, welcome back to SBTV. How are you doing?
I'm wonderful, feeling well. Thank you for having me back on, Patrick.
Glad you could make it. And as we just spoke about earlier, I'm really looking at that white coat, my friend. It looks great. Really good.
Oh, thank you. It's back in the day, I used to get dressed up in summertime and the living is easy. But it's not so easy anymore. Everything's shut down. They suck the joy out of life. And we're going through an economic crisis, the likes of which never been experienced in human history, in modern history. There's nothing like this.
Gerald, spot on. When we last spoke in February earlier this year, you forecasted gold would go to 2,000 this year early on. And back then, gold was only at about 1,600. And I remember that most people were not even seriously looking at gold 2,000 as even a possibility. Fast forward 6 months. Here we are. We now live in a $2,000 gold world. Given that the Trends Journal analyzes developments and their possible knock-on impacts, what impact would a gold price beyond 2,000 have on the psychology of investors and markets? How would this new paradigm change people's decisions about money?
They realize that the digital money backed by nothing and printed on nothing is worth nothing. And what you're looking at is that the entire world's central banks have printed up all this fake money to pump up their failing economies, and particularly the equity markets. And that's the most important thing. You see, the average person doesn't know what's going on. Just like they marched off to the COVID war back in February when we were on. They started with, we're fighting the COVID war, we're fighting the COVID war, and everybody marched to war. Just like they hailed Hitler, saluted Stalin, and marched to Mussolini. So the average person just follows along. And they don't know the details of what's going on beneath. They live by sound bites. With gold and the markets and what the central banks are doing, their number one priority at this time is to keep the equity markets artificially inflated. Because when the equity markets are high, the average person doesn't know it. But when they crash, oh, did you hear the markets crashed? The markets crashed. The markets crashed. Then you know it's really bad. It's really bad now for most people, but they don't know how bad it is because of the artificially inflated markets. When the stock markets crash, then Main Street really knows that it's going down big and hard. So they're going to do everything they can to keep these markets artificially propped up. And when you look at the numbers, for example, in Americans' markets, the Dow and the NASDAQ, it's only a few companies that are pushing these things artificially higher. Hey, you want to buy some Boeing stock? No. Maybe American Airlines. How about Disney World? Oh, yeah. How about Disney World? The theme parks. They're down in the toilet. How about AMC, the theater businesses? Oh, yeah, they're doing great. How about all the hotel chains? You want to buy them? Oh, yeah, everybody's going to hotels. They're packed. Tourists are everywhere. You can't get in the streets of New York and Manhattan. They're so packed with people. It's a ghost town. It's a ghost town. And I'm a New Yorker. I'm a real New Yorker. You know, I'm a Bronx New Yorker. I know New York. And this New York is dead. It's like no one's ever seen in their lives. You go up to the hottest places, the richest areas, homeless all over the place. Windows boarded up. So yeah, the stock markets are up. Who the hell are you kidding? Who the hell are you kidding? I'll tell you who we're kidding. We're kidding everybody. And most everybody, they march off to war. They'll believe anything we say.
Yeah, the markets, I think it's safe to say it's definitely artificially inflated. But when we look at the gold price, we see it just hitting that 2,000, and we see guys that are calling for 5,000, 15, 50,000. But regardless of a number, what would stop the gold bull market from topping out?
When the governments do something to stop it from happening. Go back to 1933 in America. They took us off. You had to turn in all your gold. Yeah. My father, may rest in peace, told me the story of my grandfather. He was a proud American, an immigrant. And he turned in, my father said, no, don't turn in the gold. They turned it in. They turned it in at like $26 an ounce. And then after they got it all in, they raised the price to $33 an ounce, but you weren't allowed to buy it. They'll do anything. Look what the governments are doing. They've taken over people's lives. They will do anything to take the gold away from you, to make it seem like it's not essential, so they can keep their phony money going. They will do anything to destroy the higher prices of gold. But let's go back to last year, 2019. What central banks bought more gold last year than they did in 50 years. So they know it's going down. That's why we saw that. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we said this thing was going to go up. Watch what the central banks are doing. They know this is all BS. And again, we made that forecast of the gold bull run in our Trends Journal on June 6, 2019, when gold was $1,332 an ounce. And these people are saying that it's going to go to 5, 15, 20. It can. But the governments are going to do everything they can to make it not happen.
Okay. How about silver? Is silver going to be able to hit that all-time high of $49.50? I mean, it seems to be lagging pretty hard right now.
Well, in June, we said silver was going to rise, and it was at $17.50, and now it's trading in the $27 range, $28. Yes, I believe you could see silver at 100.
Oh, silver at 100, okay.
Yeah, because the thing is, there's no deposits of silver. Once you throw your phone away, your keyboard, whatever, silver is the best electrical conductor. So you need it for all of this high tech. But once it's used, it's thrown away. There are no stockpiles of it. And the ratio of gold to silver is usually about, 15, 17, 20 to 1. And now it's like 80 to 1, So it has a lot of movement to go. And I think silver prices are going to rise percentage-wise faster than gold.
Gerald, you also forecasted the onset of the greatest depression by the end of 2020. Is the crisis now in the real economy what you are referring to as the greatest depression, or has it not yet begun?
It's begun. It's being covered up because governments are pumping this money into the system artificially to prop it up. It's begun. Here, I tell you, New York, already 3,000 businesses have closed in New York. Yelp is coming up and saying that 60% of the restaurants aren't going to reopen across the nation. And it's not only here. I mean, hey, you're in Singapore, right? Isn't the GDP doing great over there? What do they just have the worst one ever, right?
Yes.
And that's more advanced than most other places around. It's one country after, and this thing was going down before this happened. You had negative GDP growth in Germany in 2019, last quarter. You had Mexico already going into recession. You had negative GDP growth in Japan last quarter, 2019. You had 1 million people fired in India just in the auto industry sector. People that make them and sell them, the whole thing. This thing was going. There were riots, protests going on all over in France, in Chile, in Bolivia, in Lebanon, in Algeria, in South Africa, one country after another, people were demonstrating. This thing was going down hard before. The Greatest Depression has begun. And you look at the violence going on, the crime. When people lose everything and have nothing left to lose, they lose it. And they're losing. I'm telling you, New York, dead. And it's not only New York. You know, here, go to Bloomberg, New York Times last week. I'm in Kingston, New York. And I have these buildings I bought, pre-Revolutionary War stone buildings. I own, on the most historic four corners, I own 3 of them. I saw this years ago. Go to Bloomberg last week. Out of 181 cities, people leaving the big cities, out of 181 cities where they're going to, Kingston prices have gone up the fastest in all of the United States. They're leaving New York, they're leaving San Francisco, they're leaving Chicago. One after another. So the Greatest Depression has begun. Gold, you know, my 3 Gs, guns, gold, and a getaway plan. And I mean that very seriously. Things are falling apart very fast and very hard. And so gold and silver, precious metals, are going to be precious because they're going to come up with new currencies. They're going to be digital currencies backed by nothing, printed on nothing, and worth nothing. They'll come up with a new currency. We're going to replace the lira in Turkey. We're going to replace the real in Brazil. We're going to replace the dollar in America. We're going to replace the yen, the yuan, the euro. We're coming up with we're going to name it something new. We're going to make it digital because you don't want to touch that dirty money. You're going to die. You're going to die if you touch that money. We've only been touching it forever, but you're going to die now. You're going to die. We got new cases. People touch money. Oh, new cases. Hide under the table. You know, they're going to come up with something new because these currencies that they have aren't worth anything. They're worth nothing. It started in America in January. The deficit may hit $1 trillion this year. We may be in $1 trillion deficit. It's going to be a $4 trillion deficit now. And now all your tax income coming in is down in the toilet because businesses are out of business. People are broke. Tax revenues aren't coming in. And you're going deeper in debt? Gold and silver.
Yeah. You know, Gerald, you mentioned the 3 Gs. I'd like to add one more G for grub, food. I understand there's quite a number of people that just don't have enough food right now back in the States. What's the situation like?
I'll give you an example. When I said to you before about how they prop up the markets, and that's great, and Wall Street has nothing to do with Main Street. This is from Monday, August 17th, front page of the Wall Street Journal. Cyclical stocks are leading latest leg of market recovery, front page. Open the paper up, go to page 3. More people go hungry and seek food aid as recession takes toll. All right?
But Gerald, with all this money printing that's going on, why is the Fed's money printing not helping Main Street?
They don't care about Main Street. Too big to fail. Remember that one?
Yeah.
Too big to fail, but you little piece of crap, you could die. Hey, our parties, they're too big to fail. But you're nothing. All you are is a worker, a plantation worker in Slavelandia. They don't care about the people. They care about the banksters, the gangs. Since they locked down everything in America, 12 of the billionaires, the top billionaires, got $1 trillion richer. Yeah, fact.
You know, Gerald, with all these economic opportunities, they're really gone. They're gone for many people.
Well, that's what I said. When people lose everything and have nothing left to lose, they lose it. Look at the homicide rates. They're going off the charts. Thievery, robberies. Yeah, it's again, you're going to see demonstrations and riots around the world. People are going broke. Tourism is dead. You want to buy some airline stocks? Hey, how about going to Macau? That's not far from you, is it? Yeah, empty, right?
Empty.
Oh no, no. The profits are winning. The other ones, they're only down 98%, and I'm not making that number up. And now, how about all the people that work in those things? How about all the products and services that support those things? How about all the hotels that house those people? Restaurants, on and on and on and on and on and on and on. So now you think people are going to be desperate while they're artificially propping up the equity markets? And the rich are getting much, much richer? It's off with their heads 2.0.
Is the answer to this, or bringing back the economy, is the answer a vaccine?
Oh no, that'll make a lot of people happy, and that'll slow things down. Look, you just heard in Australia, the prime minister, another piece of little garbage crap. All these politicians are just Google up the definition of politician. Someone that's manipulative and devious, typically to gain advancement within an organization. They're saying everybody has to get vaccinated. Here in the States, they just announced in Massachusetts, everybody that goes to school under 30 years old has to get a flu shot. University of California, everybody, students, teachers, workers, have to get flu shots. It's a takeover. The drug mob, you got it? We talked before about the gangsters on Wall Street, the criminal cult. They call them investors. They're criminals. You got the drug mob and the money mob. And now the drug mob is in control. Yeah, things will get better when everybody gets vaccinated, and they'll ease up a little bit. Oh, you got to get on that airplane, you got to be vaccinated. You want to get your driver's license, you got to be vaccinated. Yeah. You want your kids to go to school, they have to be vaccinated now, and they'll be vaccinated again. And there's nothing wrong with these vaccinations. We'll tell you, there's nothing wrong with them. It's like in America, because of that other slimy piece of garbage crap that was President Clinton, he allowed advertisers, drug advertisers, to do advertisements on TV. You hear these minute advertisements, that's all they run. Oh, and the people running through far. Oh, we're so happy we got the drug, we're feeling great. And then they give you the, how it's going to affect you in a negative way. And that's another half a minute. Oh, you may lose your brains and your heart might fall out. But, all right. So, yeah, you're right. When they get us vaccinated, then it'll come back.
I mean, but there are a lot of guys who say, even if this vaccine comes into play, a lot of the troubles were already there in the economy before anyone ever even heard of COVID. So that's why a lot of people, they think the vaccine is really not going to help anything at all as far as the economy.
It'll help to some extent, but it's not going to return it around. No.
Okay.
No. It'll be because here, as long as you're walking around with a mask on, it's not good for business.
Yeah. I know you got some pretty strong feelings about the mask. I think you believe that if they want the economy to come back, take off the mask. People should actually feel good and not live in fear or walk around in fear by seeing everybody else in a mask.
Yeah, I mean, why do they wear masks in China? Oh, couldn't be because of the filthy, rotten air that only kills about 1.5 million people a year of air polluted related diseases. I was in Nepal a couple of years ago in Kathmandu. Yeah, I wore a mask. The air is filthy, dust flying everywhere. But again, people don't want to go by the numbers. And the fact of the matter is, over 50% of the people that have died around the world from the COVID disease are people from elder care homes that were chronically ill before. And the other people why the rate's so high in America? Couldn't be because 42% of Americans are obese, type 2 diabetics, and that's who this stuff takes out. It's not taking out healthy people. Cases don't mean anything. You look at the numbers. There's like, 99 point, depending on the number, 99.5 to 99.8% recovery rate.
But with the markets continuing to go up and hitting record highs again, is there any type of a massive correction in sight anywhere?
I would have thought of that's what, going back, I call the panic of '08, took out the domain name in 2007. And I thought we'd go into a real severe crash in 2012, and it was going down. They didn't teach me about quantitative easing and zero and negative interest rate policy in Economics 101, or graduate school. They're buying up junk bonds. Look what they do with the repo markets. Yes, it should collapse, but they keep coming up. They're gamblers. They're addicts. They're drug addicts. They're money junkies. Junkie will do anything to keep taking that hit. And so they're going to keep creating what they can to keep it going. Will it? Of course it's going to crash at some point. It's only a matter of when, not if.
Yeah, I remember that the repo market, that was the story for weeks and months. And now if you go and take a look at the repo market, it's a ghost town. Nothing in there but zeros except for the Fed buying up treasuries. But with all of this printing again, is it going to lead to hyperinflation?
Yes, at some point it will. We call it dragflation. The economy is going to go way down, dragging way down. But inflation is going to go up for two reasons. One, the currency values are going to go way down. So it's going to take you more money to buy it. Number two, there's supply chain disruptions. There's shortages of products. We're doing some construction. We can't get pressure-treated wood. The electricians can't find pieces. You go into stores, shelves are empty. Places that used to be packed with things, empty. So there's a shortage. So that's going to bring the prices up as well. So yes, we're going to hit a period of hyperinflation.
Presidential elections are coming up. Are the presidential reality show, what the term you call it, coming up soon? And you mentioned before how voters or registration or voting, they should be looking at using the blockchain for that.
Oh yeah, I mean there's a big issue in the United States about can the post office deliver the ballots in time because people are afraid to go out and vote. We should have blockchain technology. I mean, with blockchain voting. But again, it's an antiquated, corrupt system, and they don't want it to run any way that's fair or equal, so they can rig it any way they want. I was calling Trump a winner. I'm not so sure now. We're going to know with the debates. They're about 2 months away. And that's going to be the determining factor. I call it, as you know, I own the trademark, actually, the presidential reality show. And what you have is it's a Disney World election. You have Goofy, a guy out of his mind that can't remember anything. So it's between Goofy and Donald Duck. That's the election. How low can you go?
But Gerald, let's say these debates never happen. We never get to watch the two candidates debate each other on television. Is that going to hurt people's decision making?
People aren't excited about this at all. There's the group that wants Trump out, and there's the group that wants Trump in. It's not like I'm voting for that person because they're so great. I'm voting for that piece of garbage because I don't like the other piece of garbage. How bad is that?
I hear some people saying this election is basically a lose-lose. No matter what happens, things are definitely, right. Yeah. What do you see?
Said.
What will be your number one advice to viewers on how to navigate the economic pain in the coming year?
It's more than just economic pain. You have to get in the best shape you can. Physically, emotionally, and spiritual. You're in a fight. We're fighting against the COVID war. The politicians and the media, they launched the COVID war. We're in the COVID war. We're in the COVID war. We're fighting against the COVID war. This is a BS war. So you better get strong, think for yourself, and prepare for the worst. Prepare for the worst. If the worst doesn't happen, you didn't lose anything. If the worst happens and you're not prepared, you lose everything. I've been around for a long time. People leaving major cities has never happened before in my lifetime. All right? And it's not only New York and San Francisco, it's Paris. It's other countries around the world, big cities, people moving out because they're afraid of what they see coming. So prepare as a survivalist in the truest sense. And that's why we have Brad Steiner, one of the top close combat guys in survivalists, putting articles in the Trends Journal now. Preparing people. Get strong. Build your immune system. And the stronger you get physically, emotionally, and spiritually, the better financial decisions you make. That comes second. And again, I don't give advice, but for me, I see, only speaking for myself, gold and silver.
Yeah. I mean, one last question. I mean, I think we're kind of in the fight of our lives as far as freedom goes. Is this fight right now somewhere along the lines of any of the world wars, a little bit less, a little bit more?
More.
More.
It's global.
Yeah.
You know, you had the World War II. Where was World War II? It was in Europe, Japan, Asia, parts of Asia. This is global. It's global. From Argentina to Kathmandu, you know, to Timbuktu. It's all over. And you mentioned freedom. Look, the cover of the Trends Journal to me is one of the, you know, we have great covers. This one is very powerful. Freedom or Tyranny. Taking from that old art from the, back in the French Revolution. And the woman, Pilar, who did it, she has the guys, you know, all with the camouflage and the guns with masks on. They're the new ones telling us what to do. This is really a fight for freedom or tyranny. And right now, tyranny is winning. And we are living in hell on earth. They suck the joy out of life. And again, the numbers are there. They account for, you know, people that are dying. You know, you're in an elder care home. It's not like you go to day camp after you get out of elder care home. You know, you die. You know, I'm sorry for the people that are dying, of course. Hey, but how many people are dying in Yemen because of starvation? I only think only 10 million is starving there. Oh, how many did the United States kill in Iraq? Well, it's either 1 million or 2 million, but Saddam Hussein didn't have weapons of mass destruction, and that was a good reason to wipe out all those people. How many people have died worldwide so far with this virus? Oh, about 740,000 out of a population of, what, 7.8 billion? When I was a kid, they had the Asian flu. Of course, I never knew anything about it. I'm like 10 years old, 1957, 58. And 1 million people died. There were 3 billion people on the planet. They didn't lock down anything. Nobody cared. If you use the same numbers, ratio of dead then and now, we wouldn't have 740,000 dead. We'd have 2.6 million dead. Look what's going on in New Zealand. Look what's going on in Australia. Look what's going on where you are. They don't have a lot of people dead. And who are the people that died when they got the flu and died in Singapore? Oh, they were the workers that they brought in all that cheap labor and put them into compounds, and they were sick from other stuff. And look, what, 22, here, Australia, 25 million people. 25 million people. 450 deaths. Excuse me, 25.5 million people. March, April, May, June, July, August, 440 something deaths. And we're locking down Melbourne again. You have demented people destroying the planet. Why did they shut down India? They had riots going on there, remember? Why? Oh, South Africa. They got 1,000 dead, 2,000, about 57 million people. They had riots all over the place. The place was going down the crapper. There was people was protesting against starvation and on and on. Lockdown. Chile, riots, demonstrations going on before this. Lockdown. Here's my belief. Go back to the Trends Journal, January 28th. You go back to the site, look up the archives. Headline, coronavirus. 106 dead in China. Our next line, 1.4 billion still alive. Like, what the hell are you telling me 106 people died? What did they do? They locked down the Wuhan province. It became big news everywhere. Huh. And then what did they do? They locked down Hong Kong. They couldn't stop the Hong Kong protests. They were going on since June of 2019. They couldn't stop them. Did a lot of Hong Kong. I've been on a number of Hong Kong TV and on and on. I used to talk to the reporter. Oh, no, this thing, we're not stopping. We're going to keep fighting this. Finito. Beijing is in full control. They used the virus to stop what was going on in Hong Kong, and they won. How many people died in China so far? Oh, they're lying about the numbers. All right, they're lying about the numbers. How many people died? Well, under 5,000. Yeah. But they locked it down. And that's what these other governments did. They used it to lock it down. And the other ones, like we got over here in New York, like the little daddy's boy, Andy Cuomo, the governor, a little arrogant boy who'd be nobody, a zero like his brother on CNN, Chris Cuomo. If daddy wasn't the governor, Mario Cuomo before them, all right? And they played dictator, one after another. It's one big club, as George Carlin used to say, and you ain't in it. Goes back to the beginning of our conversation. The drug mob and the money mob.
Gerald, before we wrap up, can you let our listeners know more about the Trends Research Institute and how they can get started like I did today with the Trends Journal?
Well, thank you. Just go to trendsjournal.com. There's no other magazine like it. I mean, you see, what is it? This one's, 70 pages, a weekly. We tell you what's going on, what it means, and what's next. And we're helping people prepare, prevail, and prosper in these times ahead, because it's going to take a lot to make that happen. And we're doing everything we can to help people do that. And the more of us that join together, the greater we have as living in liberty, love, joy, and beauty, rather than the hell on earth that they've created for us.
Okay. Gerald Celente, great points as always, as colorful as always, and we appreciate the time you've given, and we appreciate how you helped, in some cases, slap us around and wake us up and realize and see things for what they are, not for what we want them to be.
Well said. Not the way they are, not the way you want them to be. And that's what trend forecasting is about. Opportunity misses those who view the world through the eyes of their profession. And you let go of your belief systems, just be free to look and be free to be you. And that's the most important thing for everybody, to be themselves.
Those are some good words. Be free to be you. Gerald, again, we thank you for your time. And I know your day is just beginning. And again, we thank you for these words of enlightenment. Appreciate it.
And thank you for all you do. And thanks for subscribing to the Trends Journal. And please, everybody, subscribe. The more we have, the more we can do.
Okay, it's my pleasure, Gerald. Again, thank you for your time, and hopefully we can do this again.
Anytime, man. Take care. All the best.
That was Gerald Celente, publisher of the Trends Journal. For more of his insights on gold and the global economy, please visit his website, trendsresearch.com. If you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to the SBTV channel to be updated on new content. And do also check out the SBTV podcast on iTunes and Spotify.